What's up, guys? Calvin Brooks here. It's the 10th of February. It's a Tuesday. I'm on my lunch break. I've spoken with a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds over the last 4 or 5 days. And the most common statement that I'm hearing is like, I feel like the world's on fire. Things feel very bleak. Things feel very hopeless. And I've chewed on that a lot because I felt that at times, off and on. I don't feel that consistently, but I do feel that every once in a while myself. You know, last week's lectionary passage in the gospel reading had to do with, it was Matthew 5, where just a couple of short verses where, you know, Christ is telling us to be salt and to be light. And what does that mean? You know, one of the things that we have to highlight before we get into the meaning of salt is to understand what we're not being called to do, and that is that we're not being called to be the main course. We're not called to be the meal. We're just called to be something that flavors things, that brings life and value and purpose and meaning. A little over a week ago now, I was meal prepping for my wife and I made some really terrible soup. I was sick when I made it, and I didn't take the time to taste it. And it had no salt. I think she called it like prison toilet water or something like that, but she wasn't wrong. It was awful. One of the reasons why I think things are so bad, and I'm just going to say it outright, is because everybody feels like they have to win, and whenever they don't feel like they've won, they feel like they've lost everything. Nothing's ever okay. Nothing's ever good enough if they don't win it all. And this is one of the reasons why Christ said to be salt and to not be the main dish. You can't be the meat and potatoes and be in line with the calling of the cross. Christianity only works in positions of resistance whenever it comes to the way the world operates and the way that we operate. We can't think in terms of political wins and losses and expect for things to be good all the time, because it just falls apart. It falls apart. I had a friend of mine in college. He was a mentor of sorts, and he had a placard on his desk. It said something to the extent of, separation of church and state is good for both. And it's because of the example we receive from Christ himself, where Satan himself is tempting Christ with political power. It's the third of the three temptations in the desert, if I'm not mistaken. None of us can handle power appropriately. There may be very few examples across the course of human history where somebody handled it well, but for the most part, we all crumble. And whenever we crumble, our relationships with each other crumble, and we get to the brink where we're like, all right, like it feels like people are about to throw hands, or even worse, go to war. And there are examples all through history where Christianity tied with power made Christianity its worst. The Crusades, the times when the Catholic Church ran all of Italy. Even in our own American history, 150 years ago, when the churches in the Southeast were sort of the focal point in arguing for sustaining slavery. And then 50, 70 years later, they're arguing for Jim Crow. Whenever we try to wear the world's crown and the crown of thorns on our head at the same time, it does not work out. You got to let go. You're going to have to let go. So I say this to those of you that are Christians and people of other faiths: if you really want to make this world better, just be salt. Stop trying to be the main show. Stop trying to win everything. Stop trying to think that if you just get your representatives voted, that everything's going to be okay, because it just falls apart. It just falls apart. And I know that violates every fiber of your common sense, because we have lived and breathed political air and drank from that cup for so long, and but see where it's gotten us. Guys, you take care of yourselves. Think of the things that fall within your circle of control, and think of the things that fall outside of them, and focus only on the things that fall within them. Y'all take care, and I'll see you down the line sometime.